Hi everybody, and thank you for coming back to my channel. When I first started YouTube, the first thing that I did was I made a bunch of different music tips videos. It's been a few years since I did a music tip video, so I think it's actually time to go ahead and get back to doing some music tips. So without further ado, welcome back. This will be the beginning of music tips again, so I hope it helps you very, very much. Alright, so getting into it. So the very first thing I want to talk about, believe it or not, is I want to talk about how to find and use your diaphragm. I am a vocal teacher as well as a flute and euphonium teacher. I teach piano and other things as well, but for the flute, the euphonium, and for voice, you really need to know how to breathe. One of the things that you need to know as an instrumentalist and a singer to breathe is how to access the diaphragm muscle. So the first thing we need to do is we need to locate the diaphragm muscle. So if you are looking at yourself, like I am looking at myself on a camera, you will find the diaphragm muscle. I'm going to push this back just a little bit. Come with me. This diaphragm muscle is actually right here. Right here is the diaphragm. It's basically like a band of muscle that wraps around the bottom part of the lungs. Think of it as, you know, your fingers on a tube of toothpaste. You want to be able to tighten those fingers at the bottom of the toothpaste to squeeze up and get all the toothpaste out of the toothpaste bottle, so you obviously don't miss any parts. It's the same idea with air. You want to be able to squeeze that diaphragm muscle, squeeze all the air up out of your lungs and out of your mouth so that you have the best air support you can for instrumental, for singing, for anything like that. So now that we know physically, at least mapping wise, where this muscle is located, how do we actually access and use it? Well, first things first, I want you to do something. All right, we're going to sit back, get ready. Going down, I want you to take your hands, put them here on your diaphragm muscle. Good. First thing I want you to do is make sure that they're crossing a little bit. Now take a breath. Again. You'll notice as I breathe, the fingers are moving apart and together. This is happening because I'm using the diaphragm muscle. That's one of the ways to know that you're actually using it. A lot of the times when people first start learning how to play an instrument or singing, they breathe up here in the chest. The problem with that is you're only using the top half of your lungs. Therefore, you're not getting a full breath and you're not really getting good support. All right, so now that we have figured out which part of our body is the diaphragm and how to breathe there, we need to now know how to support things. So again, bear with me, I do apologize. As the diaphragm is down here, I do have to angle the camera down just a little bit so you can actually see what we're doing. So go ahead and put your hands right there. We're going to sing ha, H-A, ha, 4 times to try to use that muscle. Ha, 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 ha. You try. Ha, 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 ha. One more time. Ha, 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 ha. Good. You should really be feeling almost a pulse in that actual abdominal area by the diaphragm muscle. What happens is if you're using that diaphragm muscle, you actually get a nice, warm, and rich sound. That kind of sound is the sound that everyone is looking for. In general, it is the most desired type sound. If you're into classical music, if you're into musical theater, if you're into just good sounds, good vocals, things that everyone goes, wow, that's an amazing vocal, tends to be more of, again, that warm, supported sound. So, with that being said, what is the difference between a warm, supported sound with the diaphragm and a not so warm supported sound without the diaphragm? Well, let's sing a 5-note scale and find out. So 5-note scale, just in case you don't know what that is, la 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 la. Alright, first thing first, let's do it without supporting it. So we're going to breathe from the chest, and we're not really going to push from our diaphragm. La 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 la. La 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 la. It's not like the notes aren't there, but they don't sound very good. Now let's go ahead and use that diaphragm. La 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 la. What you have is a much more supported and rich sound. You have that again because we're using that diaphragm for support. A couple of tricks you can use to make sure that you're using your diaphragm. Number one, obviously, you should feel some kind of tightness in the diaphragm muscle. I like to tell people that it's like being stuck in like a half crunch, you know. Sorry, see, half crunch. This muscle is nice and tight. Um, but anyways, it's also should feel kind of like you have done like a little bit of a cardio workout after you've been singing for an extended period of time because you've been using that muscle. Obviously, that feeling will go away as you continue to practice. But so you should have some sort of feeling of tightness in that muscle when you're using it properly. The second thing you can do to make sure that you're actually using the diaphragm muscle is if you are singing a piece where you need to sing high, like way up high, what you want to do is you want to make sure you're either sitting straight up or standing straight up, which is called posture, which is something we can talk about next time. And you want to push with your feet down on the ground. What that does is it kind of tells your brain, hey, I need to access the bottom part of my body. I need the bottom hemisphere to be activated, and it makes it a lot easier to access that diaphragm muscle. So again, if you push down on the ground instead of pushing up, that tightness here, we don't want that. But push down, it activates the diaphragm muscle, which again helps you have that nice, warm, supported sound. All right, well, that's the end of this week's music tip. I hope you are able to figure out how to use your diaphragm muscle. Again, it's a very important thing to do for both singing and instrumentals. Any instrumental where you blow air out, so flute, trumpet, baritone, tuba, clarinet, anything where you actually have to put air in through the instrument. You need that support system. All right, well, I'm not sure what we'll talk about next time, but we will find out then. Again, thank you so much for coming to my YouTube channel. I will try to make sure to keep up with my Patreon so you can keep up with different things that are going on, and I hope you all have a very melodious week. Thank you. Bye.